How can your wardrobe help you stand out, command attention, and exude confidence during speaking engagements, networking events, and content creation? Welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Jen Vasquez, and I help hyper busy female service providers to use Pinterest to book more clients. And on this podcast, I have the glorious opportunity to interview all kinds of people on all things marketing. This may seem a little off the marketing topic, but what I will tell you is if you feel confident in what you're wearing, showing up live on video or creating those reels or TikToks or even a YouTube channel comes so much easier when you know what you're wearing is good on you and you feel confident. Today, I am so excited to be chatting with Paola Arencibia of Serious Style Inc., which, by the way, I love that name.
Thank you.
Love that name. Paola is a founder of Serious Style Inc., a professional styling company dedicated to helping women redefine their wardrobes and elevate confidence, which is kind of what we're talking about today. Drawing from her background as a teacher and writer, she transforms how women view themselves by empowering them to dress based on how they feel. Her signature approach encourages clients to reclaim their power from fashion norms, create capsule wardrobes, and align their styles with personal and professional aspirations. Welcome to the podcast. So excited to have you here.
Thank you, Jen. It's a pleasure to be here.
I can't wait to talk about this because I think that the thing I hear from my students all the time is, oh, I gotta like do my hair, I gotta like put makeup on, and I don't, I don't wear it. What do I wear? All the things. Plus, I think people don't take like networking or events serious enough either, wearing jeans and a sweatshirt when if you just elevated a smidge, people will be a little bit more trustworthy in terms of what you're saying or the conversations that you're having. So let's go ahead and dive in. I love to ask this question of everyone because our audience really loves it. How did you get to the job you're doing today? Sort of what were all the windy turns that got you to this place?
Sure. And I appreciate what you're saying about the trust that people have in you and that you have in yourself, depending on your wardrobe. Because I find that wardrobe is a conversation. It's sort of a dialogue that we're constantly in. So I've always been in some form of communications, primarily as my adult career has been as a teacher and as a writer. And as a teacher, early on in my career, I reconnected with a childhood friend who was happened to be teaching at the same school. And she and I would dress for each other.
Oh,
It was just like our thing. And it was such a joy. And it's really interesting because I grew up with a lot of brothers, a lot of like male energy in the house. But my mother, even though she wasn't somebody that was like, oh, you have to look perfect at all, but she really enjoyed fashion and kind of being like a little bit outlandish in her own way. And she was kind of rebellious in her fashion. For like I'm of Cuban heritage. So like she's like this proper Cuban Catholic mom, but then she would just kind of wear some outlandish stuff. And so there was always a sense for me of celebration and fashion. And I say this with wanting to acknowledge what the fashion industry does to women. I am not exempt.
I'm so happy that you said that. I'm really happy you said that because there is a pressure on women, period.
So that is a big part, Jen, of why I started my business. Because both things have been true. Many things have been true where I had this joy, sort of always the sense of play when it came to fashion. Started with my mother, reconnecting with this friend, kind of dressing for each other. So I did understand fashion as a language between women. And then also, I think, my father passed away when I was young, and I was raised by my mother, my aunts, her friends, sort of these matriarchs, and they always showed up dressed. And so I didn't have a 100% association that dressing up was something that you only did for the male gaze. However, again, I'm not exempt from that at all, nor from the messaging of the fashion industry. But to get closer to your question, so my friend and I, we sort of like always would enjoy dressing for each other. And the truth was that like our colleagues and even our students were more interested in what the clothes we were wearing some of the time than in what we were saying as educators. So many years passed. We had gone to different schools. I had actually left. I was a copywriter full time, and she became an administrator in school. She needed a teacher to help her out part time. So I stepped in, and we reconnected in 2019. And it was a time of major transition for her in particular because her mother was dying. And we just,
Oh,
yeah, we had this very like, let's just do what we love. Why don't we start this personal styling business? So we incorporated in February of 2020, ready to launch in April. But as we know,
that's 5 years,
yes,
right? So you'll have been a
for
business
5 years. But that launch, of course, was interrupted by March of 2020. Um,
yes.
so, because our initial thing was to really, which is basically what the company has become now, is to get into women's wardrobes and reintroduce that sense of play and that sense of joy. Obviously, the pandemic hit, we had to pivot. And then she realized over the subsequent year that entrepreneurship wasn't for her. So I bought her half of the business and really had to sit for a long time to let things go very slowly, um, and see what this business was really going to be about. Because this is what I discovered in going into women's closets and thinking that I was just going to go in and have a lot of fun. Now, I do have a lot of fun and it is a lot of fun. However, what I've learned is that our closet reflects our self talk.
Oh, say that again for emphasis.
Definitely what is hanging there in your closet is reflecting our self-talk.
Mm.
So this business that I thought was just going to be about playing with clothes has really been a vocation and a calling to something that has become so much more profound. And particularly, my clients right now range from ages 35 to 74. And yeah, and really witnessing women in a time in their lives where they're giving themselves permission to quiet the voice that's telling them they have to feel or look a certain way, and seeing how the clothes that's hanging in our closets are really a reflection of that. Because if you think about it, when you go into your closet and you're just looking for a pair of jeans, and this is, an exercise for ourselves and for all your listeners, you know, you're just trying to get to a pair of jeans and you have to go through hanger by hanger of this doesn't fit me anymore. Oh my God, my body's not what it used to be. Oh my God, I can't believe that still has the tag on it. I'm so bad with money. My mom or my mother-in-law gave me that. I'm so ungrateful. Listen to without knowing it, that's all the conversations that we're having just to get to a pair of pants, right? So the business has evolved to what it is now, which is very much a mission based for me in this way, um, because I can tap into sort of the joy that it's just something that I was like, okay, I need to live this way, what serious style has become. And as I embrace that, I'm able to share that to really like, so my signature service is called the Closet Detox. And
Ooh, I like that.
in that detox, that's what we're doing. And taking out those pieces or putting them in the right place, you're sort of doing that for yourself emotionally and mentally. And then there's room to play, right? Then there's the room to say, like, I've always wanted to show up this way, or I don't know, I think I can't wear this, or I can't wear that, or I can't cinch my waist, or whatever. And I'm really there to give women permission to just do it. How long are we going to wait?
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm thinking of my closet right now, and I have a whole section of smaller sizes. Why am I letting it take up space and guilt me every single day when I look in my closet? I have some work to do, I can
Yes.
see. So I'm really excited to dig in on these questions for our audience because I feel like a lot of people are going to feel this.
Great.
How can our audience create a wardrobe that makes a lasting impression for like speaking engagements, networking events, even creating videos?
Okay, so first and foremost, get rid of the stuff that's not serving you. Okay. You got it because we're busy. We have a lot of stuff to do. So to dedicate a day, whether you do it on your own or you do it, with a professional like me, to
Yeah.
detox that stuff. You got to make time so that you can connect. So that's kind of on like a meta level.
And it'll save time when you're getting ready because you don't have to go through all those hangers to find something that A fits you or B that you want to wear.
And that is draining your energy because that's really what's
And
going
wasting
on there.
time. Wasting time too.
Wasting time and draining your energy when you are preparing yourself, particularly for those in your audience that are working for themselves. We know that our energy and our time is our biggest resource. It's the most important thing that we have. And so getting rid of that stuff and putting that self-talk in the right place um, makes everything so much easier. Right. So having access to stuff that is of quality, that is of joy, that has a good fit. Um, so so when you're creating that kind of wardrobe, there are certain basics that I'm happy to get into with you today. But to know that the stuff that you put on is fits you right, and most importantly, was your choice. Now,
Ooh.
I'm a big proponent of solids. Have solid colors, have today I had a couple different things to do. I've worn this sleeveless black turtleneck in like 5 different outfits in the past 24 hours. Um, but you want to pick things that have quality, that wash well, and they don't have to be expensive. They don't have to be designer. But if you have, for example, great solid black tops, great solid white tops, no one's ever going to look at you and be like, oh, there's Jen again wearing another white top. These are things that just become sort of a canvas for us. So if you have easy access to those things, a great button down shirt, which I know that that's a little bit of like a triggering piece in a closet, particularly for women who are bustier. But to them, I say, shop in the men's section. Yes.
Oh.
Yes. There's actually a lot we can learn from the way that men dress. You know, you go into the whatever, CEO in your head, outside of I guess the Silicon Valley ones. And it's a bunch of white shirts, right? And a limited amount of suits. However, no one's nitpicking that they're always dressed the same. We can create that for ourselves as women. Get yourself a couple of quality black tops that wash well, that the color's gonna stay. Get yourself
And fit well,
and fit
I
well.
would
What
imagine
I mean,
too.
that is we never compromise that. Sometimes my clients will be a little bit nervous. Oh, I don't wear this, I don't wear that because I want to be comfortable. I'm like, comfort is not the aspiration. Comfort is a given. And again, that goes back to your self-talk. Why don't you think you deserve comfort? Why don't you think you could have both? Right?
Yes.
So having some good tops that wash well, black, white, cream colored, neutral tops, and whether whatever your thing is, if it's skirts or slacks. I'm a big fan of jeans. If you work for yourself and jeans is something that you can do, get yourself jeans that fit at the waist. And by the way, ladies, your waist is probably 1 to 2 inches higher than you think it is right now. Some classic cuts. And then the rest, once you have that, you know that no matter what you put on, you're always going to look put together. And then the rest is play. Add a scarf, a jacket. There's where you can really get creative. But in terms of having sort of that foundational wardrobe that, I mean, like, I have had a very busy few weeks. And now that most podcasts have the video component, it's something that, we've got to think about. And I just wasn't worried, and my business is thinking about what to wear. But I was like, okay, this top and this, I'm a little bit cold, so I'm just gonna wear this, it's just there. It's all so your closet is therefore serving you instead of something that you're constantly struggling with.
Instead of giving you anxiety.
100%. 100.
Yeah. And let's touch on this because it popped into my head. What would you say to a client if they have this wardrobe and a bunch of the outfits don't quite fit, but they're losing weight?
So, and I come across this all the time.
Yeah, I imagine it's probably a number one thing.
I don't know that it's no, I'll tell you, that's really interesting. Um, so let me address that first and then I'll
Yeah.
elaborate on that. I always say I'm never going to make you part with anything. It's totally up to you. However, as you go through, for example, the closet detox process or just working with me, very quickly, some more quickly than others, but they'll be like, no, this is not right. All of a sudden they're the stylist. And it's great. Like that's the moment I'm looking for, right? Because I really teach my
Oh,
clients to dress themselves based on how they feel.
wow.
Because they might come to me and say, someone told me I was an autumn, I was a this, I was a that. I'm like, I have no idea what your color thing is. All I know is that I'm going to dress you until I see that moment where you light up.
Yes, and you can see it in your eyes when you're wearing an outfit that you feel good in. You get a
Exactly.
confidence. There is nothing like it.
And that becomes our baseline. So I have my method of getting my client there. When I see her light up or see him light up, then I say, now we edit towards that. And so you're going to know. You're going to know if you're lit up or not. So my purpose or my goal is to be there with you long enough that that feeling you really stick. And you're going to put something on and you're not going to worry about, is this the right colors? You're just going to know if you feel good or not. So, and that translates a little bit to what your question is about the way, like, I don't know, does the dress, you want to keep it, is the dress punishing you right now or is the dress aspirational? You're going to know. Because when you're sitting in that confidence that an outfit can really, really do for you, you're going to start making decisions a little bit differently. And so, by all means, I do it for myself. I just bought this great pair of jeans and they're a little bit tight, but I was like, no, okay, I'll keep them. I'm like, it's not a problem. Like, it's not oppressing me to know that it's there. But there may be some other ones that I'm like, why am I
Think.
keeping this? No, and
Mhm.
you have to know that, and only you can know that. And by all means, we'll find a place for it. That's fine. We'll put it, but it's not going to be front and center. Front
No.
and center, you have to serve who you are right here, right now. And then you'll know what to do with those dresses. Because what I find, Jen, is a lot of times when I'm prospecting, a client or, prospect will say to me, well, we'll talk after I lose 10 pounds. And I've learned,
I'm a photographer
uh,
also, and I hear that all the time.
so what I've learned is that if those 10 pounds are truly 10 pounds that your body needs to lose, because sometimes I would say the weight is there without going too far into like other topics, right? Our bodies are doing a lot for us. The weight is there for whatever reason. It's all there to serve us. But what I find is when I'm able to say, hey, look, let's do the detox. Either the 10 pounds come off right away because you're back in your body. You've been
Yes.
avoiding, you've been ignoring, and the closet detox and trying on your clothes brings you back into connection with your body. And so if those 10 pounds are something that you really want off, guess what? You're going to get them off because you're back in dialogue with your body. And
Yes.
so I say, let's not put off fun, right? Let's not put off. It's actually going to help you in whatever the right journey is because you are back to connecting and celebrating your body.
So then, and let's go back. So, what are the top like three things that you hear a lot in your business from clients about their closets?
Mainly that they have a closet full of clothes and nothing to wear.
I've said that.
Yeah, that's the number one thing. I have so much stuff and I keep wearing the same two or three things. There's that too. My body has changed because I really am driven to work with women who are in middle age, where we find that the fashion industry, after it's been messaging us for so many years, and all of a sudden you hit 40, for example, and all of a sudden it's crickets. And it's like, okay, we're no longer relevant to the fashion industry. And I find that that's a huge opportunity. Another thing that my clients talk a lot about is like, I have this new body. I don't know what to do with it because also no one's, mainstream media is not constantly telling you what to do. And I say, well, this is it. This is our time. This is our time to explore and play and see that space where we're kind of being ignored by the fashion industry, where that's where we're going to take our power. And that's where we're going to
Yes.
dress not to hide and cover up our perceived flaws, but to express ourselves.
Mm,
So that
love that.
that is a big part. And another one is really that they don't know what to shop for. I hate shopping. I know I go in, I can't find anything. Everything's a cutoff.
And you feel less than trying on clothes. That there is
Oh,
it doesn't feel that great.
no. It's funny you say that. So I talk a lot about jeans.
Oh, that's the
That is
worst.
the worst. As I was relaunching my business, one of my big marketing events, I would do a jean party, a girls just want to have jeans event. So it's incredibly laborious on me, but it's been incredibly effective, and it's really serves my clients because anyone for a fee, you sign up, you tell me a little bit about yourself, your sizes, and I go shopping for you. And I come and I guarantee, so then we have a little party, and you're guaranteed that I'm gonna have at least 3 jeans for you to try on. And basically what it's become, and again, it's always a surprise. I mean, in entrepreneurship, everything's a surprise, right?
Yeah.
So these jean parties were really effective for me because first of all, it was a bunch of women. They didn't have to go into a dressing room with jeans. Mine sort of,
I mean,
which is the worst, right? Then what I have to say is my natural where's my talent comes in, where I'm like, I always say that I can hear what you're not saying. So like that comes a lot from teaching or from being a parent, right? You'll tell me, oh, I want to try this cut, and I'm this size or whatever. But I take one look at you and I'm like, ah, okay, she's gonna dig this. And so I kind of like bring a little bit of what you ask and a little bit about what I think is gonna work. But the important part is that it's a bunch of women. We're at usually at somebody's house. Like one of my clients will host. I've actually done it at my own house. We're having some champagne. You're coming out looking great in jeans. And we're
hey,
like, look at that ass, like celebrating each other. And then if the jeans work out, it's like, oh, those jeans are a piece of shit. Like it becomes this,
it's the gene's fault,
and
not my
which
fault.
it is, which it is.
Yes, but that's not how we
No.
typically think.
So it became this really great opportunity to shift the experience of trying something on that is so triggering for us. And of course, for me on the side of the entrepreneur, it gives me an opportunity for people to see me in action, right? So it has that too. But in terms of serving the mission of Serious Style, it's really women seeing that clothes are fun. It's fun.
You're making it fun.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Thank you.
I mean, that's brilliant. I don't go jean shopping unless I'm with my daughters and we have like a drink after, because it's very emotional.
Yes.
And if I'm trying things on, I want them to go get the right size if it's too big or too small. And let's talk about something. Why are all the sizes totally different? I don't understand that.
I'll say this, Jen. Who cares? Right? Like
That's so
I don't know. I don't know. And honestly, for me, it's actually been a huge gift because look, I know how oppressive that little number on that tag is.
Huh.
I know. But the fact that there's so much inconsistency has actually allowed me to, when I'm having that moment with my clients in their closet and they're like, God, I can't believe this doesn't fit anymore. And like, it's, I'd say like 6 or 7 out of 10 times there's that moment in the closet detox that things can get pretty heavy. To say, it's just, look at this. You're a size 6 here and you're a size 12 in the other one. It's arbitrary. And it's true, right? So it allows us to, if you think of it that way, it really allows us to release ourselves from the oppression of that stupid little number. Right? I've even gone in the past and cut the numbers out for my clients. But mainly now, as they get to know me and they sort of like buy in more and more to the Serious Style philosophy, I guess, they recognize that is just a number that was printed on there. I'm more interested in looking good and feeling good, and who gives a shit?
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally. I agree with that. All right. How does aligning your wardrobe with your personal brand impact how potential clients and collaborators perceive you?
Like I said before, you're in a dialogue, whether you want to accept it or not. Here we are, we're talking to each other through our clothes. And so it's all a great opportunity. Just last night, I was at a really big networking event for one of the chambers of commerce down here in Miami. And I was mindful of that because I too, I show up in a particular way. So it was a kind of buttoned up event. But I went with like a snakeskin trench coat, right? Because
How fun.
Yes, it was a lot of fun.
Because you know why? When I was a recruiter for many, 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 many years, and every networking event I went to back in the day, right? I would take their business card and I would write on the back what they wore so that I remember their face.
Look at that. Look at that.
So you wearing that snakeskin cup, that would be I would immediately remember who you were.
So there you go. And particularly for me, where I need to communicate fashion, right? In a sense, even though like I tend to stay away from the word fashion, more about styling, but definitely in my what I want from my clients is for them to make bold choices, for them to be bold women. So I wear bold things because I'm that kind of stylist, right? That's what I want to communicate. And so and of course people approach me, right? People are going to make comments about the code and approach me. And as I was meeting people from so many different industries, I was noticing obviously their fashion and what it was communicating in preparation for our discussion. And for example, the people that I met in finance, if you're in finance, you do want to communicate perhaps the
Trust.
trust. However, you want to signal wealth and success, but in a very judicious way. You're not perhaps you might want to keep your more risky fashion. You might want to save that for another occasion because risk may not be what you want to communicate. If you're in an industry where you are saying that you are detail oriented, that should come across in what you're wearing. Um, I look at it this way: dress like your ideal client, dress like what you want to attract.
Ooh, that's good.
Because those people will notice that, like finds like. So feel free to do that. I as I continue on my entrepreneurial journey, there's that moment where you're like, oh, because at the beginning you're like, oh, everyone's my client. I'll work with just anyone. And I've definitely crossed that threshold where no. And it's made me bolder in my fashion, because I don't want to work with people who want to fit in. I want to work with people who want to stand out. And so that's what I do, right? So you're the right fit for me if that's your thing, you know? And so that's what I say about and your clothes are they're in that dialogue, quality fabrics. And again, it doesn't have to be designer and it doesn't have to be
And it doesn't have to
expensive.
be expensive. It
Exactly.
just has to be quality.
Quality.
I totally agree
If
with
it
that.
fits you right and you feel good in it, doesn't matter what industry you're in. Because when you are communicating that you trust yourself enough, that you value yourself enough to wear the right fit and to show up a certain way, it doesn't really matter what you do. You've got my attention. You have trust in yourself, and now you have my trust. And our clothes are definitely an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and I will say too, like when I've gone to events and there's speakers on stage, there was a speaker at one point who kept like pulling on her clothing, like, and I don't know if it didn't fit or maybe she felt like it was too tight or I don't know what was going on, but it's distracting
Yeah.
and it's taking over what you could offer for the audience in terms of what you're talking about. So it's way more important than we give credit to your clothing.
Absolutely. And you always want to notice the person, not the clothes.
Yes.
And even
unless you want to step out and wear a leopard, or
even that,
snakeskin coat.
I was in that snake skin coat.
Trench.
Yeah, that's snakeskin trench, of course, leather. But I wasn't actually wearing snake. But I never felt like people were like, oh, there's a coat walking around. It was like, who's that woman in the coat?
That chose that coat.
Exactly. And so,
yes.
So that's really important because if you're wearing something that you feel like you are conscious of the fact that you're wearing it, that's not the purpose. The point is always for you to look beautiful, for you to look glorious and in command and present, not for your clothes. I actually never want for my clients or people to be like, oh, that's a great shirt. I just want people to be like, wow, you look great.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. We have a huge mindset shift from this conversation about our clothing, and we don't sometimes give it a second thought until we're getting dressed. But it can really impact our business owners that are like listening or watching this right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so We touched on it a little bit when you talked about, some black and white and cream, all the things. Tell me, so for someone who has listening to this, right? And I'm literally looking at my closet right now. And you're somebody who needs to like clean it out, right? To get rid of things that don't fit or anything stained. Don't wear something that's stained,
Yes,
please.
100%.
I'm just going to put that out there because that's going to be horrible for your business. Um, but talk to me about somebody who like needs a fresh closet. What are some pieces for an entrepreneur or a female service provider in this situation who wants to look professional, wants to feel comfortable in their clothing? What are some pieces or things that you think would make a really good base
Mhm.
for their closet?
Okay, so there's great stuff out there now, and that's the thing. Like, there's so much available to us at all different kinds of sizes. First of all, I have to say, particularly to our ladies, do not be afraid of volume. Okay, we're taking up space.
Oh,
You and I are from a generation that everything's like little, little, minimize, minimize, hide your hips, hide your boobs, hide your arms, hide your.
no ruffles, no pockets on the
Yeah,
hip,
yeah.
no this, no
No,
that.
no, no, but volume. However, volume within classic cuts. So back to our white button down shirt or a cream button down or a black button down. Look for a boyfriend cut. Even if you just search boyfriend, it's going to give you volume. It's going to be oversized. I do oversize a lot of times when I'm doing the closet detox. It's actually, it's very physical. I'll go in with a big oversized, light cotton button down shirt. I look professional, but it's, I don't get sweaty in it.
Comfy.
It's comfy,
Yeah.
right? And I'm not scared of looking big. Okay. I'm over that. Get
You want to
over it.
look polished and professional and
And
approachable.
approach, and there's something, and if you look for those boyfriend trends in terms of being, we're talking about service providers, if you want to be comfortable because you're out all day,
Yeah.
you don't want stuff close to the skin that you're going to sweat in and stain the pits and all the stuff that we know it's real life, right? Go for boyfriend cuts, get a lot of volume, roll up those sleeves all the way up here, up to the top, if that's what you need to do, but you have that button down, or you could always wear it with a little tank underneath. And I can't stress enough, a great pair of jeans, any size, every size, at the waist. One more time for the ladies in the back. I don't care what size you are. I have clients who have gone through weight loss surgery, have lost 100 pounds, and have worn jeans throughout. All this with the caveat. I
Yes,
know that there are issues of like having an apron belly, and there are certain
for
exceptions.
sure.
Um, but for the majority of us, you can find a great pair of boyfriend jeans, let them fit a little loose. There's some beautiful stuff out there at all price points. Um, Barrel jeans for those of us who have thighs. I'm a big fan of barrel jeans. They'll fit at the waist. They'll have a little bit of pleating for those of us who want to look like we have a little bit more of a butt. And they're really roomy at the thighs. They're great to work in. So there's so much stuff with jeans, and your audience is more than welcome to DM me and ask me questions about this. I am a big champion of jeans. They're lighter weight. You can wear them over and over again. They're really, I mean, it is the American working pants, and it's
And
they're
you're an entrepreneur, you can totally wear that.
yes,
Yes.
they're really there to service. So I can't stress enough just the importance of having several oversized button downs and great fitting jeans, and let that be your uniform. And the great thing about something really, I mean, I'm talking about two pieces. Like this is how this is the
Yeah,
confidence I have in this. We can all be wearing the same, follow the same instructions, and none of us will look the same because you're going to style it
yes.
according to where you're going. And there's many different ways that you can knot it at the front. You can button it and tuck it in.
You could wrap it. There's like
You
all
could
kinds
wrap
of
it. You could
things.
leave it, untucked. Like I said, you could wear it with a little tank underneath. You could do so many different things. But those are things that are out there now that I find that my clients get so nervous about, button downs, because we're so used to everything having to be so fitted. We're done with fitted.
Oh, I love that. That's the best news I've heard.
Yeah, we're totally done. Unless that's what you want, right? You want a night out of having everything stuck to you, by
Sure,
all
sure.
means. I always say so. Like, I just turned 49 a couple weeks ago, and I've now entered my exhibitionist phase. So
Oh, I love
where
it.
my whole life. I was not, I mean, and God forbid, my mother would not ever allow me to show
Yeah,
any of
you're more on the conservative
yeah, I
side.
could not show, I show my belly. You can see my bra strap, whatever. Right. So if that's what you want to
Nice.
do, I am here for it. However, for a day to day, get yourself those jeans, get yourself those button downs, and you're going to see that it's just going to be like, you know, you want to change it up. You want to add a little vest, a little jacket. Like there's a short sleeve jacket that I have on now. Um, it's
So fun.
basic.
I love it. Okay, as we're starting to wind down, tell me 3 things that have helped you to grow your business. These could be tools, advice, really anything. What would you say are really big helpers for you to grow your business so that we can get back to a little bit of marketing?
Sure. So, okay, this first one I can't stress enough, which is have some kind of, whether so if you're spiritual or religious, let some kind of something that fuels your optimism, that fuels your self-esteem. If that's not what you do, um some kind of practice where you can always go back to center. I always say that the biggest gift, we're going to call it a gift, of entrepreneurship is the it's not the business that you build, but the kind of person you have to become. And to
Mm.
have those tools, again, if it's spiritual or religious or psychological, something that helps you come back to center and stay optimistic is huge. Um, Two, I would say network, network, network. I uh, there's a one of the many business gurus that are out there, but actually somebody that I had the opportunity to work for said, "You don't have an income problem; you have a notoriety problem."
Yep. Yep. Visibility,
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 visibility.
visibility. So you network. And again, this goes back to why your wardrobe needs to serve you and have the things that are good. And so you don't have to spend a lot of time or be like, no, I'm not going to go because I'm exhausted before I even got dressed. And no, you got to get out the door. You got to get out the door. So networking 100%. Um, and lastly, I would say to not be afraid to give away, maybe giveaway is not the right word, but to offer your product or service in exchange to someone um, who could potentially really benefit you. Now, I know that that's a tricky thing to say because sometimes
I
people
know
take
there's going
advantage.
to be a lot of people like screaming about this, but I totally agree with this.
I'll give you I mean, look, I know exactly what it is to be at the beginning of this journey and give away what you're doing, and you feel like you know when it depletes you. You know when you've
Yes.
put your valuable, insightful, hard, blood, sweat, and tears product or service into the hands of somebody who's just like, okay, thanks, talk to you later. However, when you do invest it in the hands of somebody who is particularly like a micro influencer who really benefits from it, who really champions you, you really have the opportunity to set fire to your business.
I, yeah, I always say if you're telling people, trust me, I can do this, I can help you. But if you have someone else that says, I worked with her, you can trust her, work with her, that will win every single time. We can shout from, every social media platform how great we are. But the time that you take to work with someone, maybe it's a barter, maybe it's a
Exactly.
one-off situation, maybe you're helping a woman who doesn't have the income to afford it at the moment, but you know that they're going to actually make a change to their life with what you're helping them with. They're going to tell 85,000 people.
Yeah.
It would be worth it at that point. You just don't want to do it all the time. You have to be
Yeah.
thoughtful about it.
So I think about this a lot, in trying to discern who's the right person to gift this service to that's really going to benefit me. Um, One thing, there are people that I've met who champion me and what I do, even without experiencing it. Those are
Yes.
good people because they're already talking. The person who's not a talker, even if the person is, has however many followers and they're super, super prominent, but if they're not a talker, they're private, they might not be the right fit. So it's not just about being a leader or an influencer, but somebody who really likes to just champion you. And sometimes, like I
Yes.
said, there's people who will champion you without even really knowing what you do. So when they actually do know what you do, there's potential there for things to really take off. Um, but for every mistake that I've made in sort of giving my service away to somebody, in the end, I'm not looking back and counting those people, because the one, two, three people, when I got it right, my God, it's made all the difference. It's made all the difference.
Yes.
So,
I would totally, totally agree with that. And there's also something to be said for charity,
yeah.
right? There is really, like, I worked with someone 2 years ago who was going to be dedicated to like doing the work. She truly wanted to grow her business and she just didn't have the money because she didn't have clients at that point. That person now for the last 3 years has gives me referrals right and left. It was the best time investment
Exactly.
that I've ever made.
Yeah. And just like any other investment, sometimes it's a miss, but it only really needs to hit once every so often. Okay.
Yeah, don't be afraid to be charitable,
Don't
I
be
guess
afraid
is
to be,
also
yeah.
my point.
And
Yeah.
and recognize what you're bartering for. You're really bartering for, sometimes it could be for a service that's valuable to you, and sometimes you're bartering for that exposure.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, before we get to the gift that you are so generously sharing with our audience, share a little bit about what your services are, because I know someone listening to this, or probably a lot of someone's like myself, listening to this are like, oh my gosh, I need to work with her.
Sure. So, like I said, primarily it's the closet detox. It's usually a 6-hour service. So you have all day. I know it sounds long. It goes by like this. Not once
Ah,
have I ever had a client say anything other than like, what? Time's up? I mean, 100% of the time. So it's a 6-hour service and it comes with 30 days of support afterwards, where digitally you are to send me your outfits, I give you feedback, I cheer you on, and that's really where the mindset shift takes hold. It's in those 30 days, and then we do an hour and a half digital follow-up where you have any questions, or if you want me to sit there with you and do a little bit of shopping or whatever it is. You have that follow-up. I do travel all over the country to do this service, so that's, on a client by client basis. I also am open for these jean events, for fundraising events, closet swaps, and but typically, after I've worked with you on the closet detox, then that sort of opens up opportunities for us to work in different ways. If you need packing services, that's a popular one with my clients, where I, consult them on what to take on trips. Um, and then, one-on-one shopping, even though I do try to minimize shopping, except for those essentials. And yeah, so I'm offering your listeners 30-minute consultation. We can talk about jeans, we can talk about button downs. You can show me some stuff.
that's wild.
Yes, all I need them to do is give me a follow on Instagram at serious_style_MIA, and just send me a DM. Just say the word podcast and we'll make it happen.
Yay! That is very, very generous of you because as an entrepreneur, time is your greatest asset. So that is really
Pleasure.
amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time today and your valuable advice. It made me feel like I can face my closet
Uh,
and
I
and
love that.
and and really get rid of the baggage, right?
Yes,
The baggage and
Jen,
the hang-up.
yes.
Not just the bags of clothes, but just the baggage.
Yeah, it changes everything. It's really been an incredible thing to witness, um, how my clients' lives, evolve and change or whatever. Usually when they hire me, it's in conjunction. They're doing other things for themselves as well, of course. So it's really a beautiful thing to be a part of that.
That's amazing. And if you guys out there learned any ideas or tips or advice that you can implement in your business, we would love for you to leave a review. Now go out there and do something good for your business, like booking this amazing offer that you have by going there. We're going to have all the links down below, all the details. So don't worry about that if you're out taking your kids to school or walking the dog. Come back and then you can go ahead and look in the show notes and get all those links. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you, Jen.